What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? No Zoop for you here, and continuing on with our tutorials and guides about commander skills, we're moving on to destroyers today. And you might see that I've got the Haboras right here. Just happened to be the ship that I chose to use for the respec, and I think really why is because it's more of a traditional gunboat. It's an older boat, it's one that's kind of been power crept, so I wanted to see if the new commander skills could do anything to help this ship out or make it a little different. So that is why we're using the Haboras today. Also, there's a few other things that I can point out with the commander skills, neat little things that I didn't mention in yesterday's video. And by the way, just a little caveat about yesterday's video in which we spec'd out the Grosser Kurfürst as a secondary battleship. I do not recommend that whatsoever. I don't recommend speccing any battleship out as a secondary battleship at this point. I played around in the Kurfürst shortly thereafter with my 12.5 kilometer secondaries. I was engaged with 3 ships, a Montana, a Kremlin, and a Zhao for about 3 minutes or so, all within 12 kilometers. And in that time of having my secondaries going off continually, despite being manual secondaries, I landed a total of 30 secondary hits, which I find to be absolutely pathetic. I'm not happy about it. So the rumors of the battleship secondaries nerf, as far as I'm concerned right now, they are still valid. Of course, we will keep our eye on this. Now, on to the ship. Let's go ahead and take a look at my captain for the Haboras. And of course, I have reset everything. You can see right here, these are the recommended skills with the yellow triangle in the bottom, the earmark. Now, this is a little bit different than the battleship setup. The battleship, you'll remember, there were pretty much even defensive and offensive options. That is not the case for destroyers. For destroyers, you have 4 on the attack side, and you have 2 columns on the defensive skill side. So there are a lot more offensive skills for destroyers than there are defensive, whereas for battleships, it was pretty much split down the middle with equal for each side. Now, destroyers, I find that you're going to have a lot more decisions to make than you would for a battleship. For destroyers, you're basically deciding whether or not you want it to be a torpedo boat or you want it to be a gunboat. And really, that's no different in many ways than it was before. So let's go ahead and walk through these, and let's spec out this Haboras as we do it. First and foremost, grease the gears. You've got that right here. It gives you a 15% traverse speed increase to your main batteries. For the Haboras, that sounds like a pretty good option. Liquidator, 30% chance for causing floods. Not so much, but if you've got something like a gearing or a torpedo ship, or especially one that has a low chance for causing floods, you definitely might want to take this. And if I was using a torpedo boat, I would definitely use this over the gun traverse. Right here, consumable specialist. Can't use this with current configuration, so it's telling me right now not to take it. And that just decreases reload by about 10% on a bunch of different things. Gun feeder, once again, we've got this right here. Battleships have it too. And this just makes it quicker to switch between shells. Rounding out things in the 1-point skill row, we've got incoming fire alert, and lastly, preventative maintenance, which is a recommended skill, and that's a good skill if you don't want your modules to wind up dying. I'm going to take grease the gears, though, because the Haboras does have somewhat of a slower main battery turn time. Yeah, I just want to speed it up just a little bit to keep up with my speed and my turning ability. So we'll choose that, and remember, you don't have to select it right away. You can select all your attributes before you finalize them, which is very, very nice. In the second row, here we've got Pyrotechnician. Recommended skill adds +1 to HE. Main guns and secondary, +1% though, just doesn't seem like a lot. I don't think that's really worth it. This is cool, though I won't use it on the Haboras. +5% to your torpedo speed. And it does not take away from the range of your torpedoes. So right there, that is a buff. That is a free buff for torpedoes and destroyers. So I'm kind of happy about this, not having that 20% decrease to the range of your torpedoes. Basically, you've got a free 5% speed increase to your torpedoes. All you got to do is pay 2 commander skill points. For that, I will take that on my torp boats. Here, consumables enhancement. Action time is increased for hydro, surveillance radar, smoke, and engine boost by 10%. You could wind up using something like that on the Hoborosk just because that speed boost, staying fast, is a good thing in it. Moving on here, you also have the option for extra heavy AP shells. Now this is a nice little addition that they've included, and I could see German destroyers using this. You might choose it in the Hoborosk or other Russian ships. I'm not sold on it yet, but it is nice having that 5% increase to the damage of your shells. Now, another cool thing that I want to point out in the Commander Skill rework is you have on the right-hand side the statistics for the ship. Now, one thing that the old version did not have that we have now is when you add something like this, right now you see in the main battery under AP you have 2,600 maximum shell damage. Well, when you apply this, it changes the artillery to +1, and then it shows you what that new shell damage is. So you're adding 130 hit points to that. Again, that's not a significant difference, and I probably wouldn't take it for this, though on cruisers and battleships I can see a huge reason to use it, and maybe even on some German destroyers that usually sling AP. I don't know. That's one I'm going to have to think about. Moving on, priority target. Shows how many people are firing at you. This is now a 2-point skill, and this is something I always use on destroyers. Now it's going to have to make you think about it a little more, along with Last Stand, which I consider to be an absolute must, always. I'm going to take the heavy AP shells off because I'm not going to select that. Moving on to the third row. We have main battery AA specialists. -5% to your main battery reload time, and a +10% to your continuous AA damage. For ships like the Kid, you're definitely going to want that. Fill the tubes, basically torpedo reload. Torpedo tube reload time is now decreased by 10%. No different than torpedo armament expert. Adrenaline rush is now 3-point skill. 0.2% for every 1% of HP lost. Moving on, IFHE is now a 3-point skill. You could take that for this ship, but it's going to significantly decrease your chance of starting a fire, which you do not want to decrease in the Hoborosk. So you can see right here that while it does help in the armor penetration, it gives you a +5 right there. It does decrease that chance of causing fire by 4%. It cuts it down to 4.5%. And it even says right here, chances of causing a fire by HE shells without modifiers applied are reduced by half. So you lose half your ability to start fires. So if you have a 40% chance of starting a fire, if you choose IFHE, you now only have a 20% chance. That is a huge cost to take IFHE, and something you definitely have to think about. Moving on to the defensive skills. Superintendent, which I like to take for the extra boost. Don't know if I'm going to take that on this or not. Survivability expert. And once again, the neat thing is when you click on that, it shows you exactly how much more you get. So you know right off the bat whether you want it or not. And for this row, you know what? I am probably going to take Superintendent just for that extra heal and that extra speed boost. Moving on to the last row, your 4-point skills. You've got main battery and AA expert. That increases your main battery firing range by 20%. Also your damage from AA shell explosions plus 15%. Not a bad thing to have, especially if you're a ship like the Hoborosk. You can stay at range and sling HE from afar. So that's something I might choose for this ship. Maybe not for a torp ship. I don't know. Swift and Silence. Now this is new and this is interesting. Very, very interesting. What this does is it increases your ship speed while you're undetected. So if you're undetected and you're speeding to a cap and you're just going along trying to get there as fast as you can, this increases your ship speed by 8%. That is a lot of speed right there. Now it does increase your main battery reload time by +5%, but you have to weigh whether or not that's worth it. And for me in a Hoborosk, This gives you the ability to get across the map even more quickly, because a lot of times you are going to be unspotted at the beginning of the round, and it allows you to fly across the map. So I'm probably going to take that one. Of course, we have radio location. This is unchanged, 4-point skill. Moving on down the line for our last attack skill, we have Fearless Brawler. What this does is the number of shell explosions and AA salvos is increased, but it also increases the ship's detectability range by plus 5%. And then there's an activated thing here, where it says it reduces the main battery reload time after the ship's been detected by the enemy by negative 10%. So, if you are a brawler, if you're in a DD that does brawl or hunts other DDs, this is something that you might want to take. This is something that's probably going to help you a lot. On a Haboras that's more of a standoff range type of HE slinging ship, I don't know that I'm sold on it for that. But if you're up close and personal against other destroyers, hey, maybe so. And the Haboras is somewhat of a DD hunter, so maybe I will take this. I don't know yet. It's another choice you have to make, because there's also some very good stuff at this tier. Concealment Expert, that goes without saying, minus 10%. We all know what that is. Defensive skill. Now here's another one that's an interesting thing. Dazzle. So this reduces the accuracy of hostile fire directed at your ship for 15 seconds after you've been detected. So what that does is, if you're in cap and all of a sudden you're spotted by another ship and it starts firing at you, their shells will have 20% added to their dispersion. This really gives you an extra chance to get away unscathed, or at least with less damage than you normally would. I can see this being very popular among destroyer captains that like to get on cap very early in the round. So that's another thing you got to think about. So for mine, I don't know for the Haboras. You know, this is where the trying things out comes into place. I really kind of want to take Swift and Silence, because that 8% speed increase, I want to see that with speed boost and how fast the Haboras is. I'm taking this more for a curiosity than anything else, which leaves these two things left. It leaves me between main battery firing range, which right now my firing range on this is 12.4 kilometers. Adding this, it's boosted up to 14.8. And while I am very, very intrigued by the Fearless Brawler skill right here, I'm probably going to bypass it just for now, because I'm more interested in seeing how fast I can get this thing. I'm very, very curious. But this Fearless Brawler is something that I might also consider for this ship, because it does get up close and personal with other destroyers. It's a very effective destroyer hunter. So this leaves me with 2 more skill points, but I don't know that I want to use these 2 skill points yet. And the reason why is 4 points will buy me that Fearless Brawler that I want. Of course, we talked about yesterday the issue in that it costs a lot to get those other 2 points, and it's going to cost you a lot of playing time. So I don't ever know if they're going to see the light of day. It's okay. It is what it is. Now, since everything is selected, I have my loadout the way I want it. Go ahead and master it. This is going to tell me to confirm it for 17 points. Yes, I want to confirm these skills. And just like that, we have a Haboras using the new captain skills. And of course, again, this is not the perfect setup. This is just telling you what I might use and why. And it's walking you through what there is to be offered by the new skills. And it gives you something to think about too, because it can be hard navigating all this stuff. It's a lot of information to digest. So I'm digesting it for you. Anyhow, I'll let you know how the Haboras goes. I already told you that the Grosser Kurfürst didn't go that well. Hopefully this goes a little bit better, because really wasn't too happy about how things went the other day. So we'll see about this one. Thanks for watching as always. Take it easy. Zoop out.